on the internet right now.
I'm getting a picture.
Everybody's home.
It's bananas.
Hey, we're live.
Yeah, well, we're live on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
You can go check our channel.
It's live right now. 8 seconds, 9 seconds. You want a counter? 10 seconds?
I don't have to count.
12, 14.
Well, we are live on Facebook, and that's all that counts.
Wow.
Because, that's where the preponderance of our fans are.
Mm.
Let's see.
By the way, Nate Stanley had the highest score of 40. So
there you go.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Tells you that he'll go in the third round, fourth round possibly.
He'll be a New England Patriot.
Yeah, probably.
Listen, the New England Patriots have been doing that, the whole Wonderlic thing, and basing their picks on compatible Wonderlic scores. Let's remember that the Wonderlic also divides things up into like psychological, problem-solving, things like
everything,
that.
Yeah.
All right?
It's like the ASVAB test for the military. It basically just gives you a complete psychological breakdown profile of the person. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And how it applies to football.
Well, and you can't argue with the success. You just can't. I mean, I would love to argue with success, but...
And what's good about that test is it's not Common Core, which means they don't teach you what's on the test. It's a pretty much, you show up that day, and they're going to probably figure out what your number is based upon what you do on that piece of paper. You can't study for it, It's a life test.
Hey, look at that. I am a genius. Thank you. I am a technical genius. But YouTube was kicking my ass.
Wow, working, doing it all at the same time, and succeeding. That's experience.
All I do is I toss a subject at you, and I go, so how about this? And then I go and and then I'll sit here and feverishly work on this shit while you talk, and I'll make it work. That's the reason why I've got Brad, which I hope Brad's watching me stumble and fumble, and he's enjoying my pain. But, wow, we are live on YouTube. Come on, you fools, get on YouTube.
There we go.
YouTube chat room. I went to all this trouble for frig's sake.
We can get into the draft stuff if you want, but I do want to kind of...
Did you just click like?
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Somebody else liked us.
Yeah, it's nice.
They liked us. They really liked us.
What was I going to throw at you here? I've forgotten. I threw me off base, which is not hard to do at this point. We only have 3 hours of sleep.
We have 2 women in the chat room on Facebook.
Awesome.
Out of all of these people that we tagged on our posts, we got 2 women. And I did you tag us Cindy Rodriguez?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, Cindy says hi, by the way.
Hi, Cindy.
And Cindy. We know Cindy. We know Cindy from way back. She works with us. Cindy. Yeah. She gives great shoulder massages, which I could use one right now. And my sister-in-law is here.
Wow.
I didn't tag you.
Hello.
But my sister-in-law Deanna is here, and she is the second person to pitch me on getting a rescue dog. But Deanna, in a couple of months, if we're not able to get back to being able to be a DJ at the Hoochie Coochie Bar, even making a little bit of money, I'm going to be eating the dog food that the dog is going to be. It's going to be me and the dog with our face in the bowl. So maybe a really small dog. A dog is in my future, but that's later. That's when I buy a house, that I have a yard. I feel bad for condo dogs, but they're usually small dogs. But any dog over like 15 pounds.
Yeah, it depends on the breed. It depends on the breed. You want to get him outside, stuff like that. Certainly, if that's what his nature is.
Big dogs need to move.
But those little
trust me, I'm a big dog. I need to move.
But those little drop kick dogs that go in your purse and your backpack. I mean, you can.
Why? Toy dogs.
It's just
toy.
Silly.
Toy nothing.
Silly.
Toy nothing. If I were to get a small dog, let me tell you, if I get a small dog, there's only 2 kinds of small dogs I would get. Either a Jack Russell Terrier.
Smart.
Because I've seen a Jack Russell Terrier that was in a room full of people, 10, 12 people, before we were supposed to socially distance. Which, by the way, the Maz and I are 6 feet apart. Before we were supposed to socially distance, now the new reality. And I can tell you that maybe I was the only person in the room smarter than the dog. And I'm not that bright. I mean, I know stuff.
Yeah, they're really smart dogs.
The dog was really smart. Or I would get a Chihuahua. Not a little toy, not a little Chihuahua. Chihuahuas get like 4 or 5 pounds.
Right. So you want a full-size Chihuahua, which is, I think, isn't that an oxymoron?
I don't have a man purse to put a dog in. And I'm not any one of the letter people. LGBTQI, I can't be a well. Yes, I am a lesbian, but I can't be one of the letter people.
Do you pee sitting up or standing? What is it, sitting up, standing, or sitting?
Sorry, my Rona was acting up. What was that?
I said, do you pee standing or sitting down normally?
Wow, we're going right to bathroom habits.
Well, I'm just saying, you mentioned sex orientation.
Mostly standing.
We're trying to figure out, okay.
Mostly standing up, sometimes in the shower.
I'm mostly a sitter, I think.
Really?
Want to know why? Because I tend to stand there a little bit longer than I should. I'll bring a phone, I'm reading, I'm doing other things. It's like my me time. So it kind of lends itself to, it's difficult to stand, pee, scroll, search, all this other stuff.
Okay, we're going to go here now.
Well, because you need both hands.
Okay, we're here now. Let me tell you a story from the club. Okay, and I've done this a couple of times. This has happened a few times. Busy. There's like 10 guys in the bathroom. Okay, and you know me, when I have to go to the bathroom, I've got 4 minutes to do it.
And make the trip back and forth.
And wash my hands, because I am a habitual hand washer. You didn't need to teach me how to wash my friggin' hands for 20 seconds. But I walk in the door, I'm like, and I always tell Ami when he's at Ami, the dragon, the six-fingered man, I always tell Ami, is that
banned from hitchhiking, by the way. Yeah, in 14 states.
He's banned from hitchhiking, competitive hitchhiking.
Yeah.
I tell him, I say, wow, popular room, you should charge a cover charge. And I go, oh, you do? And I point to the bowl. And, of course, that lets everybody know, tip the bathroom guy. And I see a guy standing at the urinal. There's a guy standing behind him. And I'm standing in the doorway. There's a line, and I'm in this line. All right? I get ready to leave. I'm going to go back. I'll hold it for 5 more minutes and come back when there's nobody there. This guy's standing at the urinal. He's on his phone. And if you take a look between his legs down, and there's nothing coming out. And he's been there since before I walked through the door. So I took a minute, and he's just with his junk in his hand, left hand on his junk, right hand. I'm like, listen, you can get all the ding dong you want all over your own phone and everything, okay? But don't stand there.
Yeah, be productive.
On your stupid phone.
Yeah, while you're there, do something.
Text messaging stupid excuses to your old lady as to where you are. Okay, while we are a really good sports bar, there are hot naked women all around you, and you're being a scumbag cheating on your girlfriend. But don't stand there like a cheating scumbag, text messaging lies and excuses to your girlfriend or wife while I'm trying to pay, or anybody else for that matter.
If you have to go to the bathroom, normally, I know I do with time. You can't just sit there and not go. No, what I'm saying is that you can't sit there and let nothing happen. That hurts. I mean, if it's out,
he was literally standing
things
there.
Are going to happen.
He'd probably finished pissing 5 minutes ago, but nobody wanted to say anything. I will roast motherfuckers in a fucking bathroom.
Yeah, there's bathroom etiquette, and that guy certainly is failing his end of the deal.
It's like shake, shake, flush. I love that one. Shake, shake, flush. Let's go. Come on, people are waiting. And they look over their shoulders like this. They're all like, yeah, shake, shake, flush, motherfucker. Let's go. So I cursed. You're welcome to the quarantine version.
Drop a roll of toilet paper in the cursing jar, please. Yeah. That's your penalty.
I'll fight you. So back to sports.
Yes. Before we do draft stuff, I just want to throw out stuff that's trending right now,
because we got this to stream on all our platforms so that we can talk shit.
Of course. People are aware that Michael Jordan documentary is on its way out. And, of course, he got out in front of it to some degree, and he was worried about his image and all kinds of stuff.
Everybody's going to think I'm a dick.
I mean, we already knew, first of all. But my point is this, is that do you really think that you're going to watch that documentary and then tomorrow you're going to hear on the radio, did you know Michael Jordan said that? Did you know Michael Jordan was like this? Did you know he punched one of his teammates? Do you know that, really, did we not know who Michael Jordan was before this is going to come out?
Tarnished his legacy.
Yeah, really? The greatest player of all time? It's just silly. Again, obviously ESPN's doing it at the right time because everybody's home now. They're going to watch TV, and it's going to get huge ratings. And in that sense, maybe he'll get maybe a little more exposure to the show. But listen, if you're a Michael Jordan fan, or if you are at least an appreciation of what that man did for the world at that period of time for 20 years while he was in sports, not just in basketball, but in every other thing he touched. Do we not remember "Be Like Mike"? That was the slogan for 15 years in every bit of sports apparel that it was measured against. Again, we all knew who Mike Jordan was. We all know who he is now. I would be more concerned about the exposure of some of his other failures post-career, like how terrible of a GM he was, or other sorts of things, failures. But in terms of basketball, in terms of what he did, what he represented, he's heads above everybody else that's ever kind of dribbled a basketball, in my opinion. So just kind of silliness. But again, interesting follow. I'm sure there's some stuff on there that we'll see that we really didn't maybe see or didn't really get a handle on. Because again, if Facebook and all these other media outlets were there present like they are now when he played, then there wouldn't be a documentary because you'd all know it already. So,
Right.
that's somewhat of the difference I think you're going to see now is some of the things you may know, but it's all well known now who he was and what kind of player he was and what kind of person he was and the trials and tribulations in his life and the gambling issues and this. So it's like, I don't know, it's not really going to be an eye opener for me.
Well, here's the question.
It's not going to change my mind of him either.
Are they going to show the fact that he and Phil Knight, Michael Jordan and Phil Knight, turned down the NBA to replace the Jerry West logo with the Air Jordan Michael Jordan logo? They said no. Why would we take a step
Exactly.
backward?
At that point, for sure.
At that point,
yeah.
we're talking early to mid '90s.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, late '90s.
The league was strong, but it's not. It was Michael Jordan's league at that point. Still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still, old man Michael, still.
Yeah.
All right, late '90s, they were like, nah. He could still be the logo, but no, he's his own logo. He's his own billion-dollar brand. The dude's a billionaire.
There's only a few.
He owns a basketball team.
Yeah, there's only a few that had their own brand in our arena that we saw. Oprah had her brand. Michael has a brand.
Yeah.
I mean, they're standalone.
Right.
Gates brand. All these other people. Jobs brand.
Yeah.
So they don't need help. If anything, people are coming to them so they can get a part of their trail and pick up some of the pieces that are falling behind.
For sure. So, listen. First of all, I told you my story about how I saw Michael Jordan play. Well, I've seen Michael Jordan with the Bulls 3 times, but myself and the Guru's guru Roscoe, we went to the first ever Miami Heat home game against the Chicago Bulls. Their first ever Heat home playoff game, excuse me. And I got tabbed by the lady with a clipboard. So, would you like to be in a game during one of the timeouts? I'm like, sure. We had nosebleed seats. We were in the rafters.
Paid about $15 for them, $20 for them.
No, like $35.
I was going to say pretty cheap. Yeah.
Still pretty cheap.
Yeah.
She took me with a stupid little baton thingy. I was supposed to do the run around with the thing on your head around in circles and then try to dribble the basketball and do a layup, and fall down because you're dizzy and you act like an idiot. I'm game. Gets me on the floor. Oh no, it got me a seat behind the stanchion, the basket, for the first half of that game.
$1,000 to anyone out there that can produce a video of this happening.
You might actually
$1,000.
Check the highlights and see if there's and I had a mullet back then too. So
we wouldn't need the mullet. We'd know it was you. I mean, it wouldn't be look, wait, is that him? No, it wouldn't be like that. We would know right away.
I had hair.
Yeah, we would know right away.
But I got to sit and watch the Chicago Bulls coming at me for the whole first half. Okay, and I even on a couple of occasions got to stand up and yell. I had Ahmad Rashad, Michael Jordan's bestie, sitting in the seats in the first row on the aisle on the corner, but I was 10 feet ahead in front of him because I was behind the stanchion. I was behind the photographers.
It's phenomenal.
And yeah, it was one of the sports moments of my life. Of course, the second half they're like, "We're not gonna have any timeouts, so you have to go back to your seat." I was like, okay, and then I didn't move, and she walked away, and I was like, haha, nobody's going to check on me. I'm going to stay right here. And then eventually she came back and goes, no, you need to go back to your seat, because somebody was like, get the fat kid out from behind the stanchion.
With the mullet.
People.
Yeah, with the mullet.
Get the fat kid out of there.
Yeah.
But, I went back to my nosebleed seats, but it was amazing. I stood up and yelled, and at the time Jordan was making about $7 million a year, which was huge back then.
Sure.
And I was like, if I could take 3 steps to the basket, I could make $7 million a year too. And this got Phil Jackson's attention. He's literally turning. I looked over at Phil too, and he's looking at me, and he's like, who the hell is this guy? because I was loud. Of course, I'm loud. I'm loud now. I'm loud all the time.
Now, perhaps they scouted you based upon your
Just
half-court
being loud?
performance. No, on the half-court performance,
my
just
half-court
before.
performance?
Yeah, they may have been like, who's that guy? You know, who's that guy with the mullet?
Back you. I had a big butt back then too. I'll back you down. A la Charles Barkley. And
I was just
going to
say Barkley-esque, but yeah.
I would try to slam it, but all I'd end up doing is hitting the ball against the side of the rim. So, because I had my 3 attempts at slam dunking a basketball back when I was a kid, and it was all. I got the ball to go over the top of the rim one time.
Wow, that's impressive.
It skipped though. It was pathetic, but yeah, I got to see Jordan and the Bulls, Jordan, Pippen, Cartwright, the whole 9 yards coming at me. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's a good memory.
And then, well, and I mean, through the first quarter, they didn't take one time out the whole first half. We were beating them. The Heat were reeling, rocking, and rolling. Woo! It was a good time. But that was an amazing experience. And I saw them a couple of other times when they were in town in regular season games, which always a hot ticket. The Bulls were a circus. Okay, I mean there was at one time there was at one time the Heat were a pretty pathetic draw. They were down another down year. They weren't drawing 6,000-7,000 people. Bulls came to town.
Oh, packed out, sure.
Packed.
Yeah.
Of course, the Knicks came to town. They were pretty good at that time. Packed. Lakers came to town. Packed.
Yeah, Celtics. I'm sure there were a bunch of teams.
Celtics not so much, actually. I went to a Celtics game where it wasn't so packed.
Those 5-6 teams at that time would definitely draw on
Right.
the road still.
For sure. So the impact of Michael Jordan is plain, and he doesn't have to worry about his legacy. He really doesn't. I mean, from the whole thing about people hypothesizing that his dad got killed because of
The gambling debts and all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That was sensationalistic.
It's all
back
fodder.
then.
Yeah, it's all fodder.
Imagine that stupid shit today.
Yeah.
There would be like a congressional investigation. Okay, if LeBron James's dad were suddenly found on the side of the road dead because LeBron James had millions of dollars in gambling debts, it's stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a Dan Marino guy, and it's why there's a wide conception that Dan Marino is an aloof prick. People say that he's an asshole. Every time I see him, he's an asshole, and I've seen it. I've seen the behavior. But the half a dozen times that I have interacted with Dan Marino, he has been happy to see me. Okay, and this is going as far back as 1985. Okay, happy to see me. For a while there, for a couple of instances, he knew my name. He's like, "Hey, you're that Gonzo guy. Hey, come on over here, big man." He likes having large men around him because they're offensive linemen. He likes having offensive linemen.
There's some comfortability there.
A little
right?
comfort.
Sure.
A little protection.
Right.
I literally protected him. I literally protected him. I was standing at the corner, talking to him at the corner of a bar. It was, I want to say it was the Bahia Mar in Fort Lauderdale, and we're standing at the corner bar. He had just done an appearance, standing at the corner of the bar, and I come over and start shooting the shit with him. He's like, "Oh, big man, come on over. Hey, what's going on?" Bought me a drink.
Wow.
I'm thrilled. Get the hottest fucking sports.
He bought you a drink, but he didn't pay for
God.
it. But he didn't pay for it, though.
Well, of course he didn't.
He just said,
he's like, "Get my friend a drink."
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I'm standing over there and I'm talking to him, and he's kind of hiding behind me. I could see he's hiding behind me. I was a big kid back then. I was about 3'10", 315. I was big. I looked like a defensive, offensive lineman. So he's kind of using me to shield, and then somebody comes over and he signs an autograph, right? And finally, I was like, the next person that came over and like tried to elbow by me, and I was like, "May I help you?" Yeah, I want to talk to Dan. Oh, okay. Hang on, Mr. Marino might be handling some business. Hang on one second. You want to see this person?
So you assume the front man position.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive too.
He put me there.
Might as well be.
That's subtle leadership.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Hide me, protect me, and I did. And I was like, hang on one second, and I took the napkin and the pen from the lady, and I turned around and I gave it to Dan, and he was over there pretending like he was talking to somebody else or whatever, and I was like, yeah, and what's your name, ma'am? Linda. Best wishes, Linda. Dan Marino, 13. Boom, boom, boom. There you go.
Wow.
And nobody messed with him after that because they figured out he's got somebody screening him.
He's got somebody in front of him.
So there are other stories about Dan Marino's kindness and generosity.
There are many. I mean, the foundations. His wife has been very involved in the community since day one.
His legacy is set.
His 36 other girlfriends have had roles too.
His secret family.
Yeah. So
and guess what? We forgot about it.
Yeah.
What? He's a millionaire Italian sports superstar, multi-millionaire. Okay, multi-millionaire. And him and his wife have done a ton of charity work.
You know what I think happens too is once you get to that point where he's the face of Florida football still, for the lack of other people in line. You have a shield. You were his shield that day, but he has a shield that goes around him forever, essentially. And whatever people may think of him or read of him or whatever it is, are always going to default back to it's Dan Marino. Really? This is Dan effing Marino. So he pretty much gets a pass. Too right or wrong, if you believe in that kind of stuff or not, doesn't matter. But that's just how it goes, especially in the sports world. So, if there's smoke, there's fire. I've heard some negative stories too. But these guys are people too. I mean, athletes have bad days. Family issues and illnesses.
I would be pissed off. And one of the stories that I've always heard about Dan Marino is that he would tell people when he's eating with his family, he would tell people to, fuck off for a minute, all right?
Makes sense to me.
I'm eating with my family.
Yeah.
And sorry if we're getting all NSFW. It's the quarantine. It's making me foul-mouthed. But I can understand that. I can honestly listen. I've had instances on a very much smaller level. Okay, once again, I have never ever thought that I was a great professional wrestler. Okay, but for a short time and in a few places, I was very over. When I became a babyface, because kids love large people that they can hang off of. So I've had a few instances where I'm signing autographs and taking pictures. And then when I'm done, I go, especially like after the bar or whatever, and I'm having dinner. But I have signed every autograph and taken every picture. I don't care if I'm eating Sunday Easter dinner with my parents. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll do that because I'm a nobody. And it's extremely flattering. It's an honor that somebody wants me to scroll my shitty Big Daddy Gonzo on there. And
sure, but on the flip side, like a Marino, when everybody wants a piece of you, to some degree, it's got to get tiring. Especially when you're with your family.
You can't go out of his house. You can't go. People are coming over. You're sitting there and you're about to put a bite of steak in your mouth, and somebody goes, "Hey, can you sign this?"
Yeah, and remember, these athletes don't owe us anything, really.
Really,
I mean, they have jobs. This is a job for them, and in most cases, it's one of the most difficult jobs to perform. We kind of blur the image. Oh, they make so much money. Okay, granted, but a lot of people make that much money, and we're not in their face every day.
Right.
So, I mean, it gets a little bit tedious and a little unfair, some of the scrutiny that's out there for some of these guys.
I want to find the CEO, not even the CFO of Google, who also makes $14 million a year.
Yeah, and go up there and say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" When he's having ice cream with his kid.
I want a picture.
It's crazy.
I want you to tag me on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're a jerk. It's like, okay, who cares? Some people
it's
just
perspective. There's a lack of perspective.
Oh, and let's not forget the strike where he told a little girl that he wouldn't sign an autograph. Okay. Oh, that made him Satan Hitler for a minute.
Oh yeah.
That was the first ding. Ding. Okay. Not even the rumor that may or may not have been perpetuated by the Miami Dolphins and the Don. By the way, one of the most gangster moves he ever made as far as personnel, that Dan Marino was in rehab for a cocaine and alcohol problem. Okay? But then the rumor also comes full circle that he was put there, paid for by the Miami Dolphins. Okay, I mean, there's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep going back to the fact that
sensationalism.
Well, that too, but imagine the level of what it would have been if it had happened in today's world. I mean, my gosh, there would have been 100 spins on that.
1983 shit.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, where you had to read it on page 3 of the Sun Sentinel, whereas now it's like you put your phone on and you get alerts. Or it's a different world, totally different world.
Well, Marino getting drafted by the Dolphins was actually front page Miami Herald stuff.
Oh, sure.
I mean, Marino falls to Miami at 25.
Right.
Okay, and we've got the quarterback for the next 15 years, which we got the quarterback for the next 18 years, actually.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And he was Iron Man at the end. He clanked and squeaked as he jogged out on the field.
Yeah.
Clank, squeak, clank, squeak, clank. Oh, here comes Marino. Clank, squeak, clank, squeak.
Well, you'd like to say that he was losing some of his mobility at that point, but that really was never much of his game to begin with, was mobility. So, yeah.
No.
It really didn't matter. It was slide and, like you said, click, clank, all this other stuff just to get the ball out. But having one of the quickest releases of all time certainly helped keep him extended through his career. So
one of the funniest things I ever heard about that, at a sports bar watching a Dolphin game, and Marino pulls a naked bootleg touchdown. This is like his 11th or 12th year. He's got the massive brace on the knee. He's got the flak jacket. He's got the whole. And he's even got a brace on his left arm. Okay, and he's hobbling around. And he runs with a limp anyway. Naked bootleg. I mean, there's nobody in the picture. He's hobbling around. My friend's like, if you're on the field right there, it's got to sound like one of those old-timey knights at a round table running in their armor. Clink, squank, clink, squonk, clink, squonk. I was like, oh, my God. And you know what? And it's pretty funny, though. But he really was.
Yeah, not the most mobile, but certainly one of the best.
And one of the toughest.
Yeah.
Whoa, what a tough son of a bitch. The dude played with broken ribs. The dude played with a hip contusion that was so bad. And we're talking about he played like 2 months. He played like 8 or 9 games, including a playoff game, with a hip contusion that was so bad it had to be drained.
Wow.
Drained before every game and after every practice. It had to be drained, and he played with it for 2 months. Okay, dude, if my knee is too sore, I don't go to the gym. This guy's like, and it was big. It was like that big around.
Yeah, just put a needle in it.
And black and blue.
Nasty.
And, just nasty. I mean, we've had bumps and bruises before. Okay. But this is something that they actually had to go and drain the extra blood and
gross.
Gross.
Yeah,
now
but
that
he did
now that I've managed to turn all the ladies on.
Yeah, people were having breakfast.
Back to the draft.
Yes, there's a draft coming up.
Actual football. First of all, let's see if I've scared anybody off of Facebook. I think Cindy might still be hanging in there. Frank is with us.
Hey, Frank.
Frankie, the Brooklyn Monster. He is over on Facebook now. I love this. We got 2 people. Are you watching on YouTube right now?
No.
No? Well, we got 2 people watching on YouTube. We got 3 likes. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Love you.
Does that mean they have a burner account that they can?
I guess
they can like us twice. That's nice.
They're watching from the friggin' shadows.
Wow, that's cool.
Get on the chat room and say something. Hey, wait. Let me say something. Yo, wake up.
Reference to the draft.
So anyway,
the first 10 picks, obviously, that's the focus. Everybody's looking at that. All the mocks are out and all that good stuff.
Right.
In terms of movement, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Lions realized that they've been so bad for so long that getting more picks than what they have could actually maybe help them. They're definitely glaring weaknesses on the defensive side, and there's a lot of guys out there that they can certainly pick on the defensive side and be very happy. They're sitting at 3.
Especially with a head coach like Matt Patricia.
There's definitely a regime change going on there. But, in terms of movement right now, the Chargers are sitting at 3.
They're sitting at 6.
I mean 6. I'm sorry. The Lions are sitting at 3. There's been some speculation about those teams maybe swapping spots, and obviously it's not just a swap. The Lions would get a few picks that they can certainly use, maybe a 4th and a 5th additional stuff like that. It makes sense. But if the Chargers make that move, which of the 2 quarterbacks are they going to go get? Tua, Herbert.
Ugh.
All the knock on Tua right now in terms of, the glaring injuries and whatnot, and not allowing the doctors to do their own evaluations, and certainly what's happened now with not having access to some of these players kind of hurts the situation. Who are you taking, Herbert or Tua?
All right. And let me make sure hi, how you doing? Here's the deal. Okay. One thing, let's do what I would not do. Okay, first of all, let's talk about what I would not do. I would not trade that number 5 pick or trade any picks at all.
In the first so many, and I agree with you. All these guys are going to be really good, especially not the quarterbacks for sure, but everybody else.
If there's any trades that happen concerning the Miami Dolphins, they will be made after that number 5 pick. Okay, let's face facts. Let's say you're on Zoom. You're Chris Greer. You're on Zoom. You're Chris Greer. You're Brian Flores. Everybody, you got your little 8 boxes that have got everybody. You got the boss, Ross the boss, Chris, Flores, personnel guy, scout, college scout, I don't know, your mom, okay? All in the boxes.
And the rest of Ted Ginn's family.
Right.
Yeah.
And the rest, because we're still paying him for some reason.
Never forget that press conference.
Knowing full well that little dude in the top left-hand corner with the glasses that signs the paychecks is in love with Tua Tagovailoa. Man crush. He was talking about taking this dude last year. Okay? Man crush. And you are Chris Greer, and he comes up on the board at number 5. That's it. You have a choice between him and Justin Herbert. Okay? If you take Justin Herbert, he has to come to camp and crush everybody. He has to come to camp and Russell Wilson it, even though Russell Wilson came out of the 3rd round. Okay? He has to come to camp and kill everybody. Okay?
It's a lot of pressure.
That's 3 times the pressure that Tua Tagovailoa would have.
Sure.
Because Tua, you can pick him, make the boss happy. Tua is going to have a grace period.
He's got Fitz in front of him.
You got Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
If you don't trade Josh Rosen, you still got Josh Rosen around.
Yeah.
Okay? You can redshirt this kid. Redshirt him.
Get him healthy, if that's still the issue.
If that's still the issue.
Yeah.
Okay? But, you're going to have a rough and tumble training camp. Unless you put the red jersey on him, he's going to get hit every once in a while.
Yeah.
And me, I think he's a stub pinky toe on a coffee table in the middle of the night getting up to go pee. Although he is 22, he doesn't necessarily have to get up and go pee in the middle of the night.
Is he sitting or standing?
Probably sitting.
Right.
And I think he's one stub pinky toe away from being out a month.
I will say this.
Okay,
I tend to like to listen to former players, especially ones that were in the position of quarterback. Mm-hmm. Trent Dilfer came out a few days ago and said that if any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft, last year's draft, he included Kyler Murray, even going back a few years than that, if he had to start a franchise with a quarterback, it would be Tua. So, I mean, again, whatever your opinion of Trent Dilfer is, I value his opinion because he's a smart guy. I mean, you listen to him, you watch him. He's been in the league. He's got his finger on the mark in football, and he's a football guy. And he's not the only one. There have been many guys that have come out and said that Tua is the guy, okay? So,
and I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. Pick Tua, because if you're Chris Greer, you're not going to look right at your boss with a choice between those 2 guys, and you're going to go, call in Herbert. We want Justin Herbert. You're not going to look your boss in the face and not give him what he wants.
Yeah, the Dolphins put so much effort into Tua. I mean, I think Adam Schefter came out and said, on the record that Tua was their guy. Resources, everything was in that direction. Obviously until what's been happening more lately. So, it's a tough call. This Wonderlic score is kind of one of those things that is something to consider, I guess.
In this instance, it's not, though. In this instance, it's not. What you have, I can't really describe the number 5 pick in any other way than it's a throwaway. If you pick Tua, you can't lose. You can't get blamed for it. Here in this era of the blame game.
Sure.
You can't get blamed for it. Why? Because the boss wanted it.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you can't point the finger at him.
You can't point the finger
guy
at
that
Chris
signs
Greer.
the checks. Yeah.
Okay. And you have a ton of other people like Trent Dilfer. You have a ton of other people in the business who have been there and done that have said that's the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm saying injury prone. I'm saying he's going to make a whole lot more mistakes in the pros than he did in college. I'm saying he was in an elite program on an offense that is going to yield 5 first rounders, 5, maybe 6.
I get it.
Okay, if that third wide receiver goes in the first round, going to put 2 first-round wide receivers out there. Going to put 2 first-round offensive linemen out there. Okay, including Wills, who I would love to have play for the Dolphins.
Right.
Okay, but and how the hell are you going to say that doesn't make a difference? That makes a difference. So now he's coming to play on a new patchwork offensive line with God knows who besides Jordan Howard at running back.
With everybody around him that has the same talent per se that he does.
Right.
There's not that separation that you see so much in college. Although I'm going to push back a little because you've mentioned this before. The SEC, they're a defensive powerhouse. Year after year, those guys are pumping out defensive players. So he's facing that sort of elite talent week after week. I mean, he's playing Auburn. He's playing, Florida. He's playing other teams.
Sure.
So, again, I don't like to necessarily knock a guy down because of he looks so much better and he's got the guys around him, because you can clearly say that maybe he was a part of the reason why some of those guys were so good too. So, I mean, he is a quarterback. It's not like it was a receiver that you're like, well, he needs somebody to throw the football to. Everything starts with the guy that gets the ball every single play. So if that's the guy that's the best player on the field, I'd like to think that there's something there. It's more so than that. Another pushback real quickly is just the injury thing. I think a large part of these injuries are just unfortunate. I mean, things happen. It's a contact sport. I mean, these guys are trying to hurt each other. That's what they're talking about in the locker room before the game. Let's go get their best guy.
What did he say? I'm not playing badminton or tennis.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so I think
you'd get hurt playing badminton.
Yeah,
really
you get hurt playing checkers. I mean, I would at least now. But the point is these guys, they play football.
Sprained ankle out 2 months.
They get hurt. If he was an offensive lineman and ripped up his knee, would we be saying the same thing about, I don't know, about let's say, the guy, Jedrick Willis, who you just mentioned. If he had a knee injury in his junior year and it was a devastating injury, Frank Gore, perfect example, got hurt in the last freaking game.
Yep.
He played for 15 years.
Yep.
I mean, and it's just so, it's very difficult to just say, oh, the guy's injury prone, just looking at the fact that he's gotten hurt. So, listen, Tua seems to be the smart pick for the Dolphins.
Sure.
And smart in the sense that he's got a place to go. He doesn't have to get thrown into the fire. He can work behind Fitz. I feel the Dolphins are finally moving in the right direction. So there's a lot of positive steps there for him.
Right.
On the flip side of that, you got a guy like Joe Burrow, who's the number one pick. I mean, that's a no doubt, right?
Right.
He's going to a team that sucks, that historically sucks, that their ex-players and their former players and current players don't have much good to say about the organization.
Right.
So
okay, listen, I'll make an excuse for the Cincinnati Bengals here. First of all, the Cincinnati Bengals are a prime example of a team that, at the beginning of the season, on paper, and you look at the projections last year, preseason projections, they were projected. I believe their over/under was 6 wins.
Okay.
Okay, which is not a 2-14 team. Okay. And then, but what it was is, this is a game of attrition, and they did not have depth. They had no depth, sort of like the Miami Dolphins, except the Dolphins kept trading away their first stringers, but they had no depth. They weren't tanking. They weren't sending people off. They weren't getting rid of guys. They were just drafting and moving forward. They're doing it cheap. They were being cheapskates. But when Andy Dalton got hurt, they went from a potential 7-9, 6-10 team, which is the baseline of mediocrity in the NFL. There's a ton of those. Okay, you went from 7-9, 6-10 to 2-14.
Yeah. Well, AJ Green was questionable
and
every
AJ
week
Green's
and never hit the
gone.
field. Yeah.
Right. Green is gone.
Yeah.
Okay. What I saw is a lot of positive stats being fantasy nuts. Tyler Boyd had a
good year.
breakout year.
Right.
Okay. John Ross when he played.
But now remember this.
Okay.
Just look at their division.
Right, but wait. Let me finish my point about the Bengals. Okay, they have a brand new coach who's really young, who's really smart. they've already made a couple of improvements on their offensive line in anticipation of a young quarterback like Joe Burrow coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've gotten a lot of their injured starters back. Let's remember that they do have Carlos Dunlap. Even though he's getting a little long in the tooth, he's still a superstar.
Right.
Okay.
Top 10.
Right. So what you're going to see, and I do believe they signed a few. They got like Trey Waynes playing corner now too. They shored up the defense. They're going to be.
It's a reach to shore it up.
Right.
They've gotten a little better.
They're going to be better than they were last year.
Okay.
They're not necessarily going to be throwing Joe Burrow to the wolves.
Okay. But again, I will say this: are they better than the Steelers? No, not even close. Are they better than the Browns? No. Are they better than the Ravens?
I think the Browns are going to surprise people, but go ahead.
Are they better than the Ravens? No.
The Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl next year.
So they're the worst team within their division, and I think it's a pretty wide gap at this point still.
So they're 6-10 quality, sure.
They've got to win a game against every team in their division, which they may not do. My point is that it's going to be very difficult for anybody, let alone the first pick in the draft, to come in there to an organization that has not been able to get out of its own way and is inferior to the rest of its own division, okay, let alone the rest of the teams in football.
As a Dolphin fan, I feel attacked.
Yeah, so, well, that's just because the Patriots have been so dominant, but that's a different argument.
We'll get to them in a minute.
And listen, right now, if you're a Dolphin fan, if you're a Bengal fan, you better become a Dolphin fan because the Dolphins have finally, I think, got it right. It's going to be a tough road for anyone, let alone just Joe Burrows, to come into an organization and been throwing into the fire. He's basically is going to be asked to take the reins day one, and it's just going to be a tough sledding for him. Now, if he has any sort of success, then that says a hell of a lot about Joe Burrows. And perhaps what you're saying about the Bengals slightly improving, getting some healthy guys back back.
They made strides to improve. It's not like they sat on their subpar injured laurels.
I get it.
All right. They made strides to improve. So I wouldn't necessarily depend on the Bengals being horrible. And Joe Burrow, who knows, the kid could be a prodigy, come right out and start tearing it up.
I mean, he's going to be the top pick for a reason.
A la Robert Griffin III. Remember when Griffin first came out, his first and second year?
Yeah.
You were just like a.
You didn't know what to do.
But
there were some holes there too that when teams finally caught up and clearly they did, and then he got hurt, and then it was just never the same. So.
Yeah, let me ask you, going back to Tua, have you ever had a high ankle sprain? The bone on the outside of your ankle.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
In college, I rolled my ankles so badly one day. We had these mountains for speed bumps in our complex, Treehouse Village, Gainesville. And we were drinking one night, shocker, and I remember stumbling back to my apartment, and literally I must have stepped on the exact crest of that 14-inch high speed bump and just went down like it was no tomorrow.
Of course,
was very heavily intoxicated, went back to my room, got up the next day, went to take that first step, and it didn't go well at all. So different colors. When I finally had a doctor look at it, he had said that I had been better off breaking the ankle as to being what the potential, tissue damage and cartilage damage, whatever damage I had in my ankle, it was colors for weeks. And I couldn't put any pressure on it for a while. So perhaps maybe high ankle sprain, not by contact, but by...
Was it on the outside of the ankle? You rolled it outward, right?
I rolled this way.
Yeah.
So, yes, that was the stretching of those ligaments on the outside. Terrible injury.
That's what happened to Tua 3 times in his college career.
Yeah.
Okay, and it happened to his right ankle the second time, and they used surgery on it. I will give the kid props. He played in the SEC championship game with a sprained ankle that he taped it up, rubbed some dirt on it, spit on it, and got in the game.
Sure.
Okay, I will give him props for leadership because I've seen him mic'd up and getting those superstar players and SEC superstars together. Okay, and you got to listen to your quarterback. Okay, so he led that team. I will give the kid all the props in the world. But at this instance, he's a throwaway pick at number 5. If he succeeds, you made the boss happy. You made the boss happy, and that's all you have to do. Now you need to move on to your 18 and your 26.
And your 38 and 46 and 51 and 30 and 56. 37 other picks.
Not that I have it memorized or anything.
Sure.
But at number 6, the Chargers, who are in need of a marquee name, and that is a West Coast marquee name because you see Justin Herbert on TV in California every weekend.
Yes, you do.
Okay, that's going to be the guy for San Diego. You say San Diego might trade up with Detroit, then they're going to trade up to get Justin Herbert.
No question. No question.
Okay, but I think they sit. I think they sit back and they wait. But as far as the Dolphins are concerned,
it's a Tua.
Don't move. You want to make a trade? You want to trade? You want to trade for somebody? You want to get somebody? Take that 18, one of your fifths, or they've got 3 fifth-round draft choices. Okay, package some picks. The 18th, maybe package Josh Rosen. If you think Tua can actually be the backup and sit and be ready to play, package Josh Rosen. Move up from 18 and go get somebody you see slide down. Maybe Simmons slides.
Right.
That's a game-changing linebacker, pal.
Right.
Okay, you like
Derek Brown.
You like
Auburn.
Derek Brown. You want to jump in front of the Panthers and get him.
Yeah.
Or go to the Panthers and say, here I got your backup quarterback. I got an extra 5th rounder. I got an extra 4th rounder and my 1st rounder. Let me move up from 18 to 7.
Yeah, and lock another pick down
and get Derek Brown. Derek Brown, I believe, is one of the 4 or 5 transcendent defensive players in this draft. Jeff Aduka,
another one.
Okay, we're going to be hearing about him for a long time.
Yeah.
Of course, Chase Young.
And Simmons, obviously, too.
And Simmons.
Yeah, all these guys, yeah.
And this kid Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally watched Derek Brown take over the LSU game against LSU.
Yeah.
I watched him make Joe Burrow work and run for his life.
Yeah, those guys they're 12 years plus in the NFL, assuming
it's a monster.
Healthy careers. Yeah.
It's a monster.
No question.
And you put him on that 3-man line with Christian Wilkins, another blue chipper, a guy who was playing with almost nobody. Yeah, like Taco Charlton was the only reasonable name on that defensive line.
First of all, if you have a name like Taco, you better be a tough SOB.
He is.
I'm saying he is, but I mean, there's a reason why.
Right.
Yeah, if you have a name like Taco, then obviously you're born to be a football player.
I really can't wait to see him go through a camp with Flores, because that was the big beef against him with the Cowboys, that he was lazy. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to work out. He didn't want to go hard in practice.
Yeah, that'll change.
Try that this July, pal. Then you will see. You will find out real quick too. Okay, because there's a bit of a boot camp college mentality. If you make a mistake, go tag the wall. And run and go hit the wall and run your ass back.
Yeah.
I'll go, I'm a professional football player. Well, guess what, pal? You're a professional football player for somebody else.
Plus, it'll be 100 degrees.
Right. Flores ain't playing.
Yeah, it's going to be very taxing. Yeah.
And people are like, oh, they're using the New England plan. They're using the New England system. How about they're using the Miami Heat system?
Yeah. And since they can't hit, they're going to run. They're going to get other ways of conditioning that's going to make you feel like that I better toe the line.
Right.
Yeah, no question.
Oh, everybody knows. Quarterback gets yelled at.
Yeah.
Superstars get yelled at. First-round draft choice gets yelled at. Okay. There's no difference. Okay, they say it's Patriot Way South. I'd say it's the Miami Heat system, because the Miami Heat system, switching tangentially to basketball, it is elite conditioning. Okay, not just basketball, elite conditioning. Okay, and they have the highest expectation from the 12th man on the bench. Okay, to the superstar out front. Elite conditioning.
And you know why that's even more so true? Because if you look at the players that have left the organization, that like a Dwayne Wade or a Haslam, you look at these guys now, they're still chiseled. It's a mindset that they've created. These guys are fit and healthy in their 40s and stuff, and this just...
And Haslam could really go in practice, too. Still go in practice, and he's 14, 15 years in.
I've seen him now. He's in phenomenal shape. I mean, all these guys this is what they do. They take it upon themselves.
Pat Riley's in phenomenal shape. He's like 80.
Yeah, so that's just part of it.
They believe in elite conditioning breeds better players to work within their system.
Sure.
And I think that's what the Dolphins are doing as well. Okay, which is also the reason why they're also last year they found players that are going to be very useful as depth players this year. They're going to acquire players that are going to be more talented than the people they had last year. But don't look for a lot of these guys to disappear.
Well, having all these extra picks is just going to create more competition in camp too. More bodies to go around, essentially.
Sure.
You're going to have better competitions for spots. And
sure,
that's just how it works. It's a numbers game.
And since you've made that move from 18 up into the top 10, okay, or maybe at 11 or 12, depends on if Brown's side. But you go after Brown, and you have Brown and Wilkins in the middle of that defensive line,
it's tough.
Where both of them can move out to defensive end. They don't have to come off the field.
That's tough.
Okay, now you only have to rotate one defensive end, one, and you have Shaq Lawson, Taco Charlton, Charles Harris for one more mediocre year.
You can't overstate depth on the defensive line at all.
So with those two monsters that you're going to have in on 80% of the snaps, they're going to dictate the attitude of the defense. So that would be the big trade I would make. I would package Rosen. I would package Rosen, a 5th rounder, and our 1st rounder. Maybe they want a little extra sugar for next year. Okay, we'll throw them a little whatever
4th or something for next year, whatever.
Next year.
Probably 15 picks next year too.
Make the move.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, make the move because first of all, it works for Carolina because they don't have a backup quarterback. They got rid of Jared Allen or whatever his name was.
They don't have a starter either. So they
do have a starter. Teddy Bridgewater is fine.
Listen, we're not going to get into Teddy.
He's fine.
But
you need Josh Rosen as a backup.
That's a good pick. That wasn't a knock on Teddy Bridgewater.
Offense.
That wasn't a knock on Bridgewater. Going into camp, I'd rather have Bridgewater than obviously Newton. That's why they made that move. But remember, as good as Bridgewater has shown, and as good as he was when Breeze went down and the Saints, there was a lot of things in place with the Saints organization that you could have put. Maybe even Dilfer at this point in that, and he would have been successful.
Right.
Nick Folk, prime example. Okay, guy that, what do you have, 30 touchdowns and 5 picks? I mean, he looked like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Nick Foles was the man.
It's very difficult to take a backup quarterback and make him an all-star all of a sudden. Those things just don't happen. So not a knock on Bridgewater. It's an upgrade for them, but they need quarterbacks, and it would really help them, obviously, getting a guy like Rosen. Before we cut out, I know we're over an hour right now, I do want to kind of give some people some things to do. I've got some suggestions out there just to keep us kind of.
Well, first of all, what do you got a hot date after this?
No, I don't. My wife's at home. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because we have a request off of YouTube. The one lone viewer.
Yes.
A friend of yours,
Donnie.
Mr.
What's up, buddy?
Callahan. First of all, I love the name Callahan.
Yeah.
Callahan brake pads.
Donnie.
Callahan auto parts.
Yeah.
He wants to know what's your take on the Steelers with the upcoming draft with no 1st-round draft choice.
Well, for me, it's, like, for instance, the injuries and stuff last year. Defensive side of the ball, I think we're good. I would, like anything, when you're trying to just build depth on the team, the first spot you go is offensive line, defensive line.
Right.
So at that point, mid to late 2nd round, clearly it's offensive line, defensive line. I mean, you have to get that depth going, and I would prefer more on the defensive side of the ball. So again, best player available at that position on the defensive side of the ball, defensive line. Maybe another edge rusher, maybe another hog in the middle. It's with our 3-4 scheme with the emergence of T.J. Watt. For me, it's depth on the defensive line side of the ball. And again, if there's maybe somebody on the back end in a corner, best corner available, but it's to continue to build the defense because our division, you got Cleveland offensively, at least on paper, they got a lot of studs on that side of the ball. Obviously, we're chasing Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and what they're doing on offense. So you need guys that got some speed, guys that can contain. So it's definitely, for me, it's defensive side of the ball for the Steelers. Go Steelers.
And the logic, of course, the balanced logic there is undeniable, but I still see this as a reorganizing or reloading year for the Steelers. You're up against probably just south of Kansas City. You're looking up at the number 2 seed in the AFC. Okay, or 1A, if you will, 1 and 1A.
It's all going to hinge on Ben coming back, and we'll know early, the first couple of games, probably even sooner than that, what direction I think this team's going, where Ben is with the team. I'll say this, and I said this last year. When we came out and we tied the Browns, okay, for your first game of the season, to me,
you were speechless.
It was so disgusting. Not because it was the Browns, not because it was a tie.
But you had nothing to say.
It's your first game of the season. You think that first game of the season, you put your best foot forward. You're the most prepared. You spend the offseason preparing for game one, game planning against the Browns. And we saw what happened to the Browns. And we tied. So, again, it's, to me, our team and the Steelers, it's more about attitude and leadership. And it looks like that started to change. When you lost Bell, or whenever we moved on from Bell, certainly moved on from Brown, Ben took a lot of the heat when it was going on, lack of leadership, all these other things. You're going to see right now, at this point in Ben's career, this is as mature as he's going to get. He knows all the cards are on the table. He doesn't have much time left, and our team right now is in the best position that it's going to be in while he's there. So we'll know early on, game one, what product is on the field is going to determine what direction our season is going to go. That's my opinion. And last year, looking back at the crystal ball, opening up the way we did, it was a recipe for disaster the entire year, and I think it was, honestly. We had guys that played well, but for the most part, I just think last year was a failure completely. And there was a lot of questions on leadership. Who's your leader in the locker room? Who's the voice of the team? There are a lot of questions that the Steelers really hadn't faced for a number of years, but certainly this year, I hope at least they go into camp trying to find that new identity. Hopefully it's behind Ben, and then taking that first step forward, game one, and then looking like the Steelers of old, looking like a dominant on this defensive side of the ball, and a guy in Ben that's going to lead us, hopefully, to where we want to be. We'll see.
Well, I don't see the Steelers being a team, knowing Mike Tomlin, they're definitely not going to be a team that is playing like they're in a reset or they're looking to the future.
Not in terms of
Tomlin
talent.
Tomlin is a here and now guy.
I get that. And that's been somewhat of a knock or not on him. I don't know. I've been wishy-washy through the last few years.
Well, here's my setup for that, though. Here's my setup for you, okay? Do the Pittsburgh Steelers take a flyer on Jameis Winston as a backup and the quarterback of the future? They bring him in. They let him sit underneath Ben for a year or two. They teach him not to throw interceptions like a lunatic.
Is he going to be willing to do that?
He's probably going to have no choice.
There's not much of a market for him right now.
He and Cam Newton are going to be on the outside looking in, because you're going to see 8 quarterbacks get drafted. Okay, in this draft, 8, maybe 9. There's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Once everybody's like, the top 3, and then there's Jordan Love
and Jake Luton, and you have all these other guys
right.
They're available. Yeah.
So now you also have Jake Fromm, Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Eason kid from Washington. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. The other kid from Washington State.
Brian Lewerke is out there too.
Exactly.
A lot of guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's going to be 8 quarterbacks get drafted. Okay, 8 teams are going to fill a quarterback spot, and probably 3 or 4 of those quarterbacks are going to be starting caliber. Let's say one wild card busts through and wins it, like, a la Russell Wilson, okay, a la Gardner Minshew. Okay,
let's hold up on Gardner, but yes,
let's hold up on Gardner.
Jacksonville likes him, but I don't know.
Hear the mustache.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
I still say that's a great place for Cam Newton to land, but it's also a great place for Jameis Winston to land. But does Jameis Winston land in Pittsburgh and become the backup and the quarterback of the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is that possible?
The kid's got so much talent. The yardage, the touchdowns, obviously the picks that come along with it. If you listen to some of his players, obviously now once he's been let go, nobody had anything bad to say about Jamie. He's a good teammate,
good leader.
All these other things are in place.
He's inspirational. Have you seen his pregame rile 'em ups?
I will give him
his
this.
Psych ups. He's good.
Last year, Arians is a fantastic offensive mind. We all get that, and the irony is that obviously he came from Pittsburgh as well, but it's difficult for sometimes these relationships don't work. First year system
right.
and changes and all these other things.
Well, the thing with Arians is he is a pro's pro. Okay, if you look at Arians and his track record with really young quarterbacks, and let's face facts, Jameis Winston, 4 years. 4 years, which is a drop in the bucket for most quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Going 10, 12, 15 years. Okay, so when he got there, and that was his first year with Winston, and Winston was kind of entrenched. He'd been through 2 other coaches. It was his team. Okay? But when Bruce Arians comes in, he's just going to, okay, here's the offense. We're professionals. Let's do this. He's used to working with Carson Palmer. He's used to working with Ben. And we're talking about guys that were seasoned.
Yeah.
Okay, guys that were receptive. Now, it's not a matter of whether Jameis was receptive. Okay, but Jameis might have been one of those guys that needed a little more touchy-feely approach. You know, he wasn't Kurt Warner. He wasn't Carson Palmer coming from bad situations looking to reinvent themselves. Mm-hmm. He wasn't Andrew Luck, who was a freak. He wasn't Peyton Manning, who was already established when they worked together.
Right.
Okay? But now you're going to see the real Arians effect. He has got a veteran quarterback who is all friggin' business, who is probably as smart as he is when it comes to it. Okay? Winston might have needed a little more, slap on the ass type of encouragement.
Right.
Where that's not Arians' style. I believe that the lack of a match in style was the big problem. Because, let's remember, the kid threw 36 touchdown passes and 30 interceptions and 5,000 yards.
That's correct. Now, remember, their defense was terrible, too, and they didn't run the ball.
No, their defense was the 6th best in yardage allowed in the league. There wasn't that the defense was horrible.
Their back end is pretty strong, but they still didn't run the ball effectively at all.
No,
and when you put that much pressure on a quarterback in a new system where they're a one-dimensional team, again, going against other teams in that division that are also very good. I'm not saying it was a tough situation for Winston.
That's why the Tampa Bay first-round draft choice is going to be a road grader offensive lineman.
No question.
Okay, and we're talking about they are going to get the highest graded run blocking offensive lineman that is going to be on the board.
Yeah, Brady's going to need
some
help back there.
It doesn't matter what his position is.
Yeah.
It's like, what do Tristan Wirfs, whoever it is, that guy is going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah.
Okay, simple as that, because they are going to run better.
They have to.
And then, you bring them in and we'll coach them up how to pass block.
Yeah.
But you're going to run, period, which is the reason why, which brings us to the next phase. Since we've gone through the top 10, pretty much. The next phase would be there are some trade rumors out now with Leonard Fournette and Odell Beckham Jr. again. Okay, now the junior the Odell Beckham rumors may be unfounded. The landing spots that they're talking about are kind of ridiculous. Like Minnesota, why would Minnesota get rid of Stephon Diggs and then bring another headache? Okay,
be careful. The knocks on Odell. It's a little overblown, I think. A little sensationalized. I think so too. His teammates don't have issues with him. He's a good teammate. He's a great player.
Right.
But in terms of talent-wise, only 4 touchdowns last year. And in the last 3 years,
and the market is about to be flooded with
receivers young that you don't have to pay as much. Odell needs to stay where he's at and
the era of the expendable wide receiver is upon us.
Oh yeah, when you have that much talent in the market, your value lessens just a little bit.
Just like 5-6 years ago, the era of the expendable running back started. Okay, and you don't have a lot of premier 3-down. Don't take them out backs, okay? But a guy like Leonard Fournette, he is a 3-down.
Oh, for sure.
Running back. He caught how many balls last year?
76 last year.
76.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Okay, and rushed for 1,000 yards.
1,170
on a bad
yards.
Team.
Yeah, no question.
Only played in 13 games.
He's got 2 or 3 more years in him for sure. Yeah, for sure, at a high level.
Productive high level.
At a high level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Leonard Fournette ended up in Tampa Bay.
That would be a huge upgrade for them.
Huge.
Yeah. And again, fits the scheme like we're saying. Arians is that professional player type coach, guys that have experience that you don't have to lead by the hand. You just give them the game plan and say go. And
then he gets a running back that he can throw to 70 times.
Make it like a James White type guy, except for you can
Like
keep
a
him in there
David
for all
Johnson
three
type of
plays.
guy.
An old David Johnson, year
Right,
1, year 2. Yeah, no question.
Year 1, year 2, who was his head coach?
No, I get it. You're right. No, 100%.
Okay,
100%.
so
Fournette's got
seems to
some.
be- there's
he's got
some symmetry
legs.
there, you
He's
know?
got legs for sure. Yeah.
There's some symmetry there. Like I said, you go get a couple of big meatballs to put on that offensive line, and you go get Leonard Fournette cheap. You're going to be able to get him cheap because because Jacksonville wants out from under him.
He has to now.
Okay,
coming out and saying that, hey, quarterback issues and whatever. Yeah, it's,
hired Cam.
Yeah.
And
It's probably the agents that put that stuff out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
There's no question. The players, they're not in touch like that. I think so much. I mean, of course, they express their
but
concerns to the agents.
One week you express your opinion that your starting quarterback isn't good enough, and that you should go get Cam Newton. Forget Gardner Minshew.
It's a wrap at that point.
Bye.
Yeah, it's a wrap. And if we're hearing it, then it was happening
bye.
a while ago. Yeah, during the year, last year, and other stuff
Yeah, there might be a new president of operations, and there might be a new GM, but they're still the same coach.
Yeah.
Okay, from the Coughlin era, there's still a little bit of that Coughlin stank on that team, which is still, if you're 5 minutes early, you're late, type of an attitude.
Sure.
Which isn't bad. That's good discipline.
It works
It's
for
good
some
business.
teams. It works for some
It
players.
works for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But you can't come out and crap on your quarterback. Okay, there's a difference between
No
doing
way.
it in Miami, where you're like, well, I think Josh Rosen would probably have a higher upside than Fitzpatrick. It's like, yeah, sure, I have a higher upside than Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's getting ready to retire, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You can't go out and say that Cam Newton. Yeah, sure, Cam Newton is better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Of course he is. I mean, just statistically, just career-wise, sure, huge upgrade. Why? If you're going to be drafting a quarterback, why?
Yeah. But the better player statistically is not always the better fit for the team at that
ding,
time.
ding, 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 ding,
no
ding.
question. Yeah, it has to be like that.
And now that Jacksonville's probably going to be drafting a running back, now you know where that's going. Now you know that at number 9, they may go running back. Which brings us full circle back around to the draft, and we're out. Are you getting tired? Is it past your bedtime now?
I didn't get much sleep last night.
Yeah.
All right, guys, just real quick, and ladies, if you're into any
League
kind
of Legends?
Well, almost.
Aliens?
Free stuff. Daily fantasy sports, guys. It's out there. Even though there's no sports right now, you can still play on these sites. Even if you sign up, if you don't have a DK account or a FanDuel account, or just go sign up. It's free, and you can get into free contests. They have free contests every day: basketball, football, baseball, simulated contests. Yes, horse racing, castaways, cooking, weather, all free. All free. Now the pools aren't maybe coming up for
cornhole.
FanDuel. Well, that's a different sport.
Cornhole championships.
We're not talking about those sports yet. But I'm telling you, it's all free. Get out there if you're bored, and
Tonsil
most of us
hockey.
are. You can get out there and sign up for free. It just gives you something to do, obviously, and you can win money.
Daily fantasy hide the salami.
Now it's getting awkward. Aliens.
Now it's getting weird.
Now let's talk about aliens. Yeah, so again, just sign up for free. It'll get you through your days for now while we're all still home, and get you some exposure to these sites if you want to continue on past, so that when we start talking about when sports do come back,
tongue wrestling.
You got one toe in the water already, and we can have some fun with all this. So free contest with a chance to win money. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And we got lots of time in our hands, so get on there, sign up. My screen name on there, or my whatever it is, I'm 6 rings later. Shout out to Donnie. That's my name out there. So it gets creative, it gets fun. They have chat rooms too. You can kind of go back and forth with the guys, and certainly get private contests, and you can just put your friends in there and stuff like that. Again, free is free, which is kind of nice. So especially now.
Free.
Yeah, free. So anyway, that was just my quick shot. Now I'm not endorsing one site over the other. It's up to you what you get into. We're in all of them.
Yeah, because I want a friggin' sponsorship check. If we're starting to send people in there making money, hey, we get a little wet the beak there. I mean, can give a little taste there, FanDuel or DraftKings,
and we're in all of these together, so we all know what's going on. So
or at least free play or something, like extra bonus points. I've got like $4.50 in my account, $4.50 in my account.
So anyways, it's just a little throw out there for you guys, just to get involved, just to kind of pass the time. So, and certainly we could chat about it too, because I got some insights on some of this simulation. I've been doing pretty well, so it's kind of fun.
Well, how about this? Why don't you share them on the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk page on Facebook? Share some of those insights.
I will.
Let people know. Post a link don't know, go to FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever, post
Sure.
some of that insight, and that'll give you guys something to watch because we're going to peel out of here. So so you can go home to the wife and have lunch because I'm kind of getting hungry, a little peckish.
Me too.
All right. Well, on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, nice people. Stay safe out there, people, and do the right thing. Think about your neighbors, your family, your friends, and people you don't even know. Think about them too. Do the right thing.
Yeah. Crazy people out holding rallies at big city. What's wrong with you? Anyway, you can make sure you check out the Maz at MLB Joy Us. He is, of course, going nuts like the rest of us. Also on Instagram at Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. Follow the Gonzo Radio Network at Gonzo Radio Podcast on the Instagrams. And, of course, right here at the Gonzo Radio Network at www.gonzoradionetwork.com, where you can catch all of our shows, including Chat Fight tonight at 7 p.m., which is a bit of controlled mayhem, which is hilarious, and the Cocktail Hour at 9 p.m. with Nadeem Awad and David Sadman, which is really, really funny, and it's a lot of fun for me because I get to sit here and I switch my coffee out for a nice scotch, couple of ice cubes, not too much. You don't want it to get watery. And we discuss the topics of the day other than the current coronavirus. So, yeah, there'll be actually non-coronavirus programming like this because we like to avoid it a little bit because we see it all day. So, on behalf of the Maz, wash your hands, stay in the house, stop touching people, no hugging, social distancing. Did I say wash your hands?
I think you did. Yeah.
Keep right on washing your hands. We love you. We'll see you next week. Everybody be safe, be healthy. We're all getting through this. Pay attention on Facebook. Pay attention on all the social medias, and we'll keep bringing you some sports fun. Thursday, NFL Draft starting at 7 p.m. Is it 7 p.m.?
I think so, yeah.
Live on ESPN and ABC and the NFL Network.
And everywhere else that has a TV.
Simulcasts. Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys next week, 11 a.m. sharp here at the Sports Desk. Bye.
See you.